closer to Christmas, you know, one of the groups that we've been working with for a number of years now is Bags of Hope, and they do amazing things for a very specific need out there. So joining me in the car, one of the co-founders. Last year, his wife was here. We're back to having John, ladies and gentlemen. John Gagne.
I'm back.
That's it. Look who's back again. Talk to me about what Bags of Hope is, because for those who aren't aware, I mean, there are various organizations out there that may have taken the name Bags of Hope, but you guys really have a unique purpose. And so tell me what it is and how it started.
So Bags of Hope is a project that my wife and I started. This will be our 7th year doing it.
Okay.
And basically it came from our experience of fostering and adopting. We were in our classes to be licensed to adopt. In one of the teaching moments, that the woman that was teaching us was talking about PTSD and some of the different traumatic things that these children in foster care experience. And one of the circumstances that she was talking about at the time was a young boy or a young teenager who had just been adopted, and he was in a multiple fostering situations, and he finally got placed in his forever home. And then one day his adoptive father had come in during breakfast to take the trash out and kind of like whipped open the trash bag to put the new trash bag in.
The normal thing you do.
Right, yeah, you just grab the bag and you kind of shake it, and the son like lost it because he, in his mind, thought he was moving again. And I was like completely appalled by just even the thought of that happening. And so I kind of yelled out, and I was like, there's no way that actually took place, and that a child would respond that way. And they were like, oh no, this is like a real thing. So that always kind of stuck with us. And so of course, when we went to pick up our first child that we were adopting, he was a year old and had been in multiple foster homes. And the foster mom said, oh, I have one more thing for you. She runs to the basement and comes back up with the black trash bag with his things in it. And we're like, we're kind of like beside ourselves that this was a real thing. So when we got in the car and drove away, we said we need to do something about this, because to us it just felt like you have a child who's in a very vulnerable, difficult situation in their life, and you take the things that they would consider most important and most valuable, and you put them in a trash bag, which sends one signal there, but also the fact that those things get misplaced, they get thrown out, they get mistaken for trash.
Sure.
And so...
And we should qualify that this is not... It's through no fault of the social worker. It's through no fault of the staff that's involved with that.
No, logistically, it works really well.
Right.
Logistically.
Yeah.
And so it's not a knock on... the social workers by any means.
They've got a tough job to do, and
right.
to keep a bunch of suitcases or whatever in their
right.
vehicles.
It just doesn't work.
Called in the middle of the night.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So what we wanted to do was to try to in an effort to bring some support to the logistics for the foster system, to help maybe bring dignity to these kids that are in this time in their life where they may feel like nobody really cares. They may feel hopeless. And so what we wanted to do was give them a bag that has their name embroidered on it. And it basically says, number one, that what's going in this bag is yours, and it's important. Because they might go from foster home to foster home, and every time they walk into a home, the soap isn't theirs, the shampoo isn't theirs, the blanket's not theirs, the bed's not theirs, the culture, the smells, the sights, the sounds, everything is foreign to them. But they have a bag that they can put things in that belongs to them, that wherever they end up going, there is something there that is theirs. Yeah. And also it has their name like sewn, embroidered right on the
It's
back.
It's not just written in black Sharpie marker where it can wipe off
or whatever, yeah. Fade. So, and the bag is like a high quality bag. And Sandy Lane Sports down in Warwick, they're the ones that do all their embroidery. And so it's something that's really high quality. It comes with comfort items in the bag that are age appropriate, like fleece blankets or pillow pets or bath products or whatever. And it gives them a sense of, that there is a group of people that are thinking about them, praying for them, that love them, that want the best for them, but also that they're not forgotten. This basically kind of was like the gist of the project, and it went from the idea of maybe doing about a dozen of them to that year we did over 100.
Yeah.
And then now, last year we did just over 6,000 bags. And then going into this year, 2018, we already have a list of about 6,000 names.
Wow.
And with more to come.
Sure.
So.
Well, I think it's important to note that this isn't just something that's exclusive to, Rhode Island or southeastern Massachusetts. This has become a regional thing throughout Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and it's expanded into some other states now and other regions where there's some connections there. So, talk to me about just the growth and also where are these bags going?
Yeah. So last year, out of the 6,000 bags, we covered all of the kids in foster care in Rhode Island, and we try to do our best to make sure that every year children are being repeated. So like there's not like a child who's been in foster care for 5 years and that's 5 bags.
Sure.
The list that we get from the social workers are children that have entered into care this year.
Okay.
And so we have given bags to all of the foster children in Rhode Island. Last year we did about 2/3 of the state of Massachusetts, and then we also did Pensacola, Florida. Okay. So this year we already have the whole list for all of Rhode Island, and we're at like 89% or maybe a little bit more of Massachusetts. There's still a couple of offices that we haven't either haven't heard of us yet and we haven't been able to get to, or we left messages with last year. No one called us back, and then now we're just starting to establish that relationship.
Okay.
But our goal was to do all of Massachusetts, but we're getting there. And then this year for Pensacola, we have about it's like over 350 bags. And the last time the number was just over 350.
Wow.
And again, they're in their 3rd year, but it's the similar growth. You had like under 100 bags, and then it's progressed by about 100 every year.
Yeah.
As the exposure is happening and the connections with the departments in that area. And then also some new areas that have grown is that this year we're launching in Connecticut.
Okay.
And we actually are doing a big launch in Indiana.
Oh, wow.
And so we actually just sent out all the bags to Indiana this week. And so they fundraise and they get all the items themselves. We take the bags in, monogram them, and then send them out to make sure that they're that part of the program. Because we feel like that's actually one of the most important parts of it, is not always necessarily what's in the bag. It's that the bag is high quality and that it's actually embroidered.
Right.
That's to us. That's like the touch that is personal.
Well, that's the first thing that the child sees when they receive the bag, and so that's important. So there are a variety of ways to get involved and help out, and I should note right off the top that if folks do make a donation and they want it to go specifically to Rhode Island or Massachusetts or Southern New England, or they want it to go to Pensacola, they want it to go to the other areas, that is something that is totally
so on our
operable.
website on bagsofhopene.org, you can click on the link about us and you can pick which region you want to read about, and it gives like kind of like the numbers or the statistics of what foster care kind of looks like in that area.
Okay.
So and through that, when you go to give, you can actually designate to Bags of Hope Northwest Florida, Bags of Hope Indiana, and you can write it right in that that's the area you want it to go to.
Okay.
If you don't designate it, just by default it kind of comes into this region.
Okay.
Just because the majority of what we do is here, at least for now.
Sure. But it also gives you the freedom that if you need to help fulfill the need in another area,
right,
just a general donation will go. No matter what,
right,
the donation's going to the bags to make this all happen.
100% of the money that comes in goes into the project. Nobody's getting paid for any, to do this. This is all volunteer.
You don't get a salary as
I don't get a salary as the co-founder, or royalties on the logo.
What you get is a lot less sleep over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
And,
so like we make T-shirts and we sell them on Teespring.com. Okay. We have like a storefront.
Another way that people can support.
Well, yeah, because people want to like show their support, and all the money that's made off the T-shirt sales go back into more like promo material.
Do you like how I purposely turned into the sun?
Yeah.
Highlight the T-shirt.
Oh yeah, look at that.
That's very good. And so you've relied on the support of donors, folks. If you want to get involved, please by all means follow the links, follow along. Share this episode with your friends and family. They're looking for a project to get involved with this year. Also, ornaments are for sale, so there's a lot of different ways to do that. The one last thing I want to talk about, something we had touched on, I believe, last year. We were just talking in conversation that these bags have also been used in helping to identify kids that may be on the run.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge issue, especially, as we think of, kids that maybe, the system just is too much for them. So they think it's better for them to run away, and they may be in danger. But police officers and detectives have been able to utilize the bags as kind of an identification point.
Right. So Bags of Hope has had an amazing ripple effect in our community. And one of those, like you said, that we found out through a social worker is that in the state of Rhode Island, there are some retired police officers that work kind of undercover for the department to find kids that are missing from the system. And a lot of them happen to be teenagers. Okay. And so they either run away or whatever, and we've been finding out that some of them have been trafficked as well. Jeez. So one of these gentlemen had said to the supervisor for Rhode Island DCYF, no matter what, Rhode Island needs to make sure that Bags of Hope continues to operate and gives bags to children in foster care in our state because they've used it to kind of put together some of the pieces of where some of these kids are.
Wow.
And so as an example would be, maybe one of these gentlemen is in a homeless shelter and sees a young man sitting on the floor with a couple duffel bags. And one of the names on one of the duffel bags might not be this young man's name. Like, oh, so where is that? Where is he?
It becomes a tool, a visual tool.
And then they end up having a conversation. And in that process, this time last year, there were about 6 young girls that were rescued out of trafficking because they were able to track and trace a bag, and it led to this discovery. And so it's unbelievable that we never even thought. You never set out. You set out to just try to show some support to some foster families.
Give a child something that. One piece that belongs to them, an embroidered bag. And you think about it, you grew up playing sports, and playing soccer and stuff, and you had a jacket with your name on it, and as a child, as a teenager, that was pretty awesome. Imagine how a child feels when they get something like that. A child that gets something that may never get the chance to have something with their name on it.
A child who generally feels like everything's been ripped out of his life and nothing is his anymore or hers anymore. And there's a sense of hopelessness, and then to have something like this happen where there's a generosity, there is a sense of belonging or love that you don't have to worry about trying to earn or whatever. My wife and I were just talking, and we were tallying up and looking at another one of the ripple effects is through Bags of Hope. There has been over 20 families that have come forward to foster or adopt because of the vision that they got for it and the heart that they kind of got for this because of their exposure. And we've had over 88 kids fostered and or adopted by families associated with Bags of Hope.
That's excellent.
Because of the awareness that it's brought to this area. And 88 kids is amazing.
That's a big number.
But the reality is that there's still hundreds of them sitting in a foster home legally free to be adopted with no family. Yeah. And the state of Massachusetts or the state of Rhode Island is their legal guardian.
Yeah.
And so there's still a great need. But Lord willing, our goal is that we continue to generate awareness. We continue to partner with the state and with the department to support them and to also be kind of missing pieces to the puzzle that they maybe struggle with as far as budget reasons and staffing reasons, and there's a lot of things that go into that. And so us as an organization, as a team, as a church, as a community, that we can say, you know what, we support you. And it ends up, again, the ripple effect is it starts to go into all different facets of what foster care really is. And so it's just been awesome.
Well, John, certainly we appreciate everything that you and your wife and the entire team has done over the past 7 years. I know this year is going to be great, folks. If you want to get involved, please follow the links, follow the Facebook page. Even if you can't make a monetary donation right now, just helping by sharing this information and getting the word out there, because this is truly a wonderful program. John, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, bud.
Wish you all the best over the holiday season, and you know, maybe at some point you'll get an app in or something.
Hey,
Hey,
that'd be great.
it's the little things that count.